Hello friends, Namaskar dosto. Very warm welcome to another video with SD. Here I'm going to talk about generational shift. Generational shift के बारे में हम लोग बात करने वाले हैं. बट एक चीज याद रखिएगा, ये वीडियो देखते हुए या देखने के बाद आप अपने अंदर पैनिक बटन मत दबाइएगा. डोंट प्रेस द पैनिक बटन इनसाइड यू. I felt the need कि I need to discuss this since अभी when I started, जब मैं start किया था, probably 100 people, 150, 200 people were following me. But currently around, I can see around 2,700 people following me. I'm grateful to them. तो यहाँ पे it is important I issue this warning. What I'm seeing, I though I'm a very small part of all this, but I have a knack. मुझे एक knack है ग्लोबल मैक्रो की तरफ. तो ग्लोबल मैक्रो में मैं जो दिख रहा है मुझे, दिस इज काइंड ऑफ अ जनरेशनल शिफ्ट. So let me explain a bit more. Since July 2022, we have moved into a recessionary cycle. जो लोग मेरे क्लास किए हैं, those who have done my class, you know this. आप ये सीख चुके हैं ये मॉडल, और कैसे उससे बेनिफिट करना है ये भी आप लोग सीख चुके हैं. एंड आई हैव ये रिसर्च करने के लिए टू फाइंड आउट दिस मॉडल कि किसके थ्रू हम लोग इसको एक जनरल मॉडल दे सकते हैं एंड वी कैन बेनिफिट फ्रॉम द स्ट्रक्चर. ये रिसर्च करने के लिए I previously had gone back almost 100 years, especially the recent period ज्यादा गया हूँ. Around since 2008 मैं live देख चुका हूँ, 2020 cycle देख चुका हूँ. I have gone back 2001 and also before that, 1980s, etc. So even though I have gone back late 100 years, but the latest data पे focus ज्यादा था. Now recessionary cycle जो होता है, recessionary cycle is largely, we can cut it in three parts. First part is the euphoria rally, means the market goes up, everybody feels happy about it, the market superbly go up, asset classes go up, which is currently happening and happened. After the second phase comes, which is a terrible crash, usually a very hard landing, with market declining about, say, 30, 40, 50%. Almost 60% of the stocks will decline 70%. These are called cyclical downturns, means this happens, keeps on, say, we can't exact time prediction possible between 5 to 11 years, but they keep on happening. Sometimes इनको बोला जाता है short term debt cycles. I call them dollar crisis cycle. जो आप लोग सीख चुके हैं मेरे क्लास में, डॉलर क्राइसिस साइकिल और वन गुड ट्रेड. This one good trade is beautiful. It can give us big returns. Let me take you here, because जो भी मैं सिखाता हूँ, whatever I teach, Angel One अच्छा just a moment, live market चल रहा है. Angel One is about to break out, so that's good. Yeah. Angel One, I did some initial positioning and now looks like it is now ready to move further up. So Angel One is definitely looking good. So anyway, let's not get diverted. Trading तो चलता ही रहेगा, because एक बार market चल रहा है तो diversion होना very easy. So here, if this is 10 year, I'm typing this website is from Federal Reserve, St. Louis का Federal Reserve. And here, this is one of the measures just to show you the first evidence that whenever in history this long-term interest rate minus short-term interest rate has gone to negative, and after that it has gone up, and we usually, this is COVID shadowed area 2008, 2001. So broadly what we had a major market crash as well as a recession. So how to benefit from this cycle, how to benefit from this recession, how to handle the recessions or the cyclical downturns, you have learned in my class. जो मेरे students है, आप ये video देख रहे हैं. This video is not about this recession and cycle. I think we are in a recessionary cycle. The market is still not showing signs, and all the sign हमें चाहिए, like S&P has to go down, non-farm payroll will become weaker and weaker. So we don't have each and every one of those. So we can't fully say all the conditions are satisfied to have the market crash phase. और कैसे क्रैश फेज डिटरमाइन करते हैं ये बॉन्ड स्प्रेड से, तो ये भी आप लोग सीख चुके। बट दिस इज ये जो वीडियो है, मैं ये वीडियो इसलिए नहीं बना रहा हूं टू टॉक अबाउट दिस रिसेशन। रिसेशंस आर नेचुरल। ये जो मार्केट का डाउन टर्न्स, दे आर नेचुरल। जो लोग इसको समझते हैं, यू कैन बेनिफिट फ्रॉम इट, एंड दे गिव यू गुड अपॉर्चुनिटीज टू बाय क्वालिटी स्टॉक्स एट मच चीपर रेट। So playing this properly gives us lot of opportunities. तो एक चीज याद रखना पड़ेगा, not we cannot escape from every aspect of recession. Like your job you can lose your job. जो लोग जॉब में है, मेरा एडवाइस, स्ट्रॉन्ग एडवाइस रहेगा कि you should be very cautious in your job. You should not be, that should not be an unstable area. Some regular जो इनकम आने वाला, जिसमें इनकम आप आपके फिनेंस ठीक करना चाहेंगे कि आप प्रॉपरली कि एक सोर्स ऑफ इनकम आए अदर देन योर जॉब, यू हैव टू इंश्योर इट। इट कैन बी टेम्पोरली से फिक्स डिपॉजिट, एटलीस्ट घर का खर्चा चलना चाहिए। बिकॉज मार्केट इज लाइक एंजल वन गोइंग अप, द एंजल वन आई विल बाय, बट we are in a recessionary cycle, and that threat is very, very real. And if I look at, say, Nifty 500 long-term charts, like the weekly chart, from this we cannot say that the bearish phase is over and we are in the bull phase. Under this sell signal, we are getting a solid correction. So but this is not what I want to talk about. I'm trying to talk about कि I might have misjudged in a sense कि recessionary cycle तो है ही, but I think इसके साथ साथ we are already in the convergence of much bigger cycle के आसपास है हम। I don't think I understood this properly before, because ये मेरे लाइफ टाइम में हुआ नहीं है। I have never experienced this. And I don't think majority of the people, in fact, जो लोग ये वीडियो देख रहे हैं, majority of you as a market participant तो definitely, but majority of you have not lived through this phase. Now COVID-19 से, I don't know what teachings you have taken. COVID-19 से एक important teaching था कि what has happened last 100 years ago can happen once again. That is major learning you should take. हम लोग COVID-19 को एक नए एक्सपीरियंस की तरह लिए हैं. That is very important to understand. This COVID-19 we took it as a new experience to us because it was new to us, but not in history. History में this was not new. This has happened over and over again. If you look at flood, if you look at earthquake, if you look at pandemic, they have happened. And COVID inspired me, and the latest round of events जो मैं देख रहा हूँ inspired me, forced me, because मुझे macro पसंद है, to learn these, understand these more. So in this search, in my seek of this knowledge, I'm now going back almost 500 years through history, different writings, and I'm trying to understand this where we are. I'm not saying my understanding at this point is perfect. It's not. Because this is a generational shift which we are experiencing. I personally have not lived through this. But looking at now, reading about them, looking at the history, it looks like, yes, we are. Like pandemics have happened in history throughout, then there have been war. If I look at big war like world wars, and they have also happened, it may not happen. Majority of us have never experienced this world wars. वर्ल्ड वॉर फॉर्मेट चेंज हुआ है. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, पहले हाथी से फाइट होता था, हाथी से हम लोग चले गए फ्रॉम शिप्स टू टैंक्स एंड एटसेट्रा, एंड प्रोबेबली वी कुड मूविंग टू एन एरा ऑफ ड्रोन. But a significant shift is happening in that front as well. Then 1930, we had depression, Great Depression. Just like pandemic, it has not happened in last 100 years. But if I go back history 500 years, depression has happened. Depression has happened, famine has happened, and very famine means जब खाना नहीं मिल रहा है, food नहीं मिल रहा है. And they have happened throughout history, and बहुत ही interestingly they have happened through cycles. Specific exact time of these we cannot say, but there is a cycle, say every 80, 100, 120, a cycle has happened. And they are forcing me to understand these more and more. And in this regard, I felt कि एक need है कि I give you these warnings. We have to take this not as a panic button की तरह नहीं. We have to decide our actions, knowing very well that we cannot fully be immune. Our financial investment can be, but our different aspect of life can be impacted. Say you can earn a lot of money. If we are getting into a war, world war, then you get affected. So upcoming जो दिन आ रहे हैं, in different ways, it is going to be different. Let me highlight a few ways, few things जो हमारे generational lifetime जो आप लोग देख रहे हैं नहीं हुआ है. बट जो नहीं हुआ है हमारे जनरेशनल लाइफ टाइम में, सोचना बिल्कुल ही सही नहीं होगा ये फिर से नहीं हो सकता. So this is, I think this is the first one I would like to highlight, is the interest rates. Interest rates on US government bonds are going up like anything. A 40-year-long trend line is broken. In 1980, Paul Volcker, then the Federal Reserve president, pushed interest rates so high. Let me see EFFR. So pushed interest rates significantly higher and kept it at that level for significant number of times. And then we moved to an era of falling interest rates. Interest rates decline. Why US Treasury important? Because this has act as reserve currency. This has been the money for the companies, for the governments. In global transaction, 88% is the US dollar. Our companies, Adani, Ambani, Britannia and others, all the multinationals, they frequently take dollar-based loans. And from 2008 onwards, due to this cheap level of interest rates, they have borrowed heavily in US dollar, heavily. And now these interest rates are going up. To give you a perspective, our companies have done well. In a sense, they have refinanced their previous dollar loans at a very low cost during pandemic. Say 1.5%. Example के लिए बता रहा हूं, Adani has paid on its 5-year loan. But now Adani, especially with this bribery scandal, will have to pay something like 6.5. That's more than a 400% increase in the cost of financing. And if the assets are not able to generate more, you know what happens when cost goes up, and your earnings are less. There would be a rush on the dollar, which already visible, but this does not make the dollar inherently strong going forward. This is a major threat to the global stability that we have experienced for so long. And I do not think market has fully, means stocks and others asset class have fully realized these, that the interest rates are not coming back to the previous era. In historically, we have seen interest rates have gone up like this, like it can drop and again rise steadily. An era of instability, 70s, late 70s, it created a bigger cycle of war and tensions across the globe. We had Vietnam War. That's where second phase of money printing by US started. This interest rates going up is significant big threat to the global economy. अब आते हैं E and macro micro, and under that I want to go to central bank. Central bank, Federal Reserve, I want to see what the market, show you what the market is expecting the rates to be, short-term rates to be at 4%. If this rate is 4%, this means the Adanis will have to pay 6%. And the long-term rates could be even higher. Say long-term borrowing, if this is for long-term borrowing, can be, I'm not saying will be, can be 5. That means long-term borrowing cost for companies could be 7%. And this is a serious threat to the stability of the global finance that we have seen. We are likely to see much bigger disruptions what we have experienced previously. We are in a era change phase. In the early phase, when interest rates started going up after the World War, then we had the interest rates were going up, but stable 60s, then started the instability. From 69 onwards, political instability, Vietnam War, Richard Nixon announcing dropping US dollar linked to gold. Lot of instability is going to happen as interest rates rise. And these interest rates are behaving not the same way across the globe. You can see it in UK. This is going to create more instability in the developed market. We are seeing internal political conflict. French government has dropped. French government has collapsed. In Europe, political instability, fighting of the right and fighting of the left is increasing. In the US, Donald Trump became president riding on a populist wave. I'll come to the politics, but first let's look at the interest rates. Interest rates in developed economy like Japan, way it is going up, the pension funds, sovereign funds, जो ये bonds hold कर रहे हैं governments का, they are into big loss. If they book it right now it is paper loss, it does not matter, they're holding as an asset, but they can't get out. And if those people start hitting the panic button, asset liability management mismatches, we are going to There are going to be bigger disruption for the pension funds, etc. Because banks, these are the holders of these long-term bonds. And interest rates era has ended. It's very much looking like the cheap borrowing, except Swiss government is different, looks like, because they are current account surplus, of course. So I'll prefer to rather hold Swiss government bonds. But overall level of interest rates rising. So threat of inflation, threat of higher interest rate is very much real for the advanced economies. And I don't think this is going to get very easy. It is going to get tougher, not just for the companies. It is going to be tougher for the US government as well. Now, on the other hand, what's going on with Chinese government bonds is equally concerning. The way their bond interest rate is dropping, this is deflationary. A trap like Japan can happen where economies stop growing and you get into a deflation spiral. Lot of Chinese wealth was trapped in the debt market, real estate market. And real estate is collapsing. The interest rates also collapsing. So interest rates going down this sharply is also not a good news. It is deflationary forces working. And in that sense, India is where the bond interest rates long term is also in decline. So this is, while one sense it is good that borrowing cost is low in terms of Indian rupee, दूसरी तरफ it is an indication that Indian economy is also slowing down, stagnant होते जा रहा है, and that's why interest rates are going down sharply. Also, I think there is a flight from international foreign government bonds to Indian bonds and other, but that's why that could be one part of the move. But this is, especially in case of China, it is a very, very deflationary. And as interest rates drop, we can see with dollar strong, the pressure is building on INR to significantly weaken against the US dollar. And similar thing you'll be able to visualize, though China is controlling its currency just like India. Chinese currency is also hitting, trying to break higher. So we have threat of currency depreciation heavily for emerging markets. We have interest rate threat for developed market. We have interest rate threat for companies. But that is not done. This is one part of the force. And one part is recession, that is short-term cyclical. एक तरफ short-term cyclical recession struggle, which is we are getting closer and closer. एक तरफ ये long-term cycles are at play in the interest rates bond market. Long-term forces are at play in the currency market. Now let's go back Google and let's say Suez Canal. Suez Canal is a very, very important channel of communication towards Europe. And look at the state of the Suez Canal. Traders Insight. Have they changed it? Maritime shipping I cannot find. Let me search it. Yes, this is it. The traffic that has been passing through Suez Canal has completely collapsed. कोलैप्स हो चुका है कि कितना शिप ये सुएज कैनाल से पास हो रहा था. दिस इज बेसिकली मैं इंडिकेट करने की कोशिश कर रहा हूं देयर आर ट्रबल्स, जियोपॉलिटिकल टेंशन है इस एरिया पे. दैट्स व्हाई दिस इज हैपनिंग. तो यहां पे क्या चल रहा है? लेट्स अफ्रीका, लॉट ऑफ सिविल वॉर्स वी हैव, बट लेट्स एक्सक्लूड अफ्रीका फॉर नाउ. We have trouble in Israel, Lebanon, Syria, Iran, tension with Israel. We have Turkey, जो ज्वाइन करना चाहता है यूरोपियन यूनियन, and unless it gets into European Union, it will not approve Ukraine's entry into European Union. With यूक्रेन का एंट्री यूरोपियन यूनियन में, मतलब यूरोप कम्युनिटी का पार्ट होना, इज नॉट सीन एज गुड बाय रशिया. एंड लेटेस्ट राउंड, यूक्रेन प्रेसिडेंट Zelensky, I think if I'm telling the name right, has highlighted that Ukraine possibly will not be able to take back the regions which Russia has taken. One of them is Crimea. Russia has taken this Crimea away from Ukraine since it has shown interest to joining Europe. Russia is feeling a threat as Europe closes in towards its border. Initial agreement was that European Union will not expand, but later it expanded towards Poland, Lithuania, Latvia. All of them became part of European Union. And now they are trying to include Ukraine as well. Throughout Europe, we are having internal political tension within different group, ethnic group, rich and poor in Europe. This threat of internal tension is very much real. We are having tension in Germany. Then we have Poland, different jagah se. Hungary, Hungary is having a prime minister who is not aligned with this Ukrainian inclusion and the other policies. So we have conflict within Europe. We have conflict within country. In addition to that, we have conflict in UK. All of these places, the quality of life for regular people has declined. Now, with all of these, we have geopolitical tension with Russia along the European borders. We have China. China is a much serious economic threat to the US. And I do not think US-China relationship is going to improve because the US has no incentive to make it better with China. Because China has emerged as serious challenger to the United States. In the US, internal conflict has gone up because of the wealth gap. In the US, you have Donald Trump who has decided America first is his policy. Good or bad, that may be good for America. The trend may reverse. The downturn of America, the down decline may reverse, but here are a few things to consider. America first policy will previously jo era tha, here is another era changing. Previously जो era था, it was of global cooperation with UN. You are growing global communication. Now we are becoming more separate. Sorry, separate country based. And with US leading, ये trend और चलेगा. With US leading, say US first policy, the other countries will also go US first. Last 50 years, dollar was a stable cornerstone of economy. One factor has been petrol, oil. Saudi Arabia and others, they sell oil in dollar, but Saudi Arabia still selling in dollar, where they did not renew the contract. 50-year contract expired this year in June. So they are not renewing their contract to sell only in US dollar. So that is another thing that is showing the geopolitical tension. America first policy is leading to country first policy. Now this we never had in our generations. On the other hand, another what is there, majority of us has not lived through this era change of no computer to computer. And after computer, the evolution or technology has gathered speed. And we have given birth to AI. Another generational shift. We have not seen this kind of technology changes. We have not seen this kind of serious geopolitical discoordinations in our lifetime. And we have not seen this long-term debt, long-term interest rate cycle change in our lifetime. We have seen in those who are in Europe, largely prosperity in Europe, in America, in terms of cohesiveness between each and other within the country. The kind of conflict we have within the country, we have never experienced before in new generational lifetime. So we are in a recessionary cycle, and this recession and the next one, these two will be the most pivotal recession of modern history. Because recession के time things get worse. Already ये जो बड़े cycle का factors आ रहे हैं. One is this geopolitical instability, जो tension. We have not seen this kind of global tension for a very long time. Tension brewing South Korea, where government has collapsed. Japan, Prime Minister was killed. Not recently, means not Prime Minister Abe. South Korea, Japan, these countries are facing internal political tension. China flexing its muscle in East China Sea, and towards Taiwan is a serious threat. Taiwan is always under threat. So tension brewing in the China Sea, tension in the Middle East, and tension in Europe, and internal conflicts. So all these forces are at play, and I think ये जो recessionary cycle आ रहा है, that is the short-term cycle, this will be very much influencing these long-term cycles. So I personally think it is still, I cannot say, I'm not saying I'll be right, but this is, when I look back history, it is very difficult हो रहा है कि ignore these factors. Maybe not this time, but in the next 10, 15 years, it will be radically different. So we have to give ourselves exposure to AI in terms of course, our investment as well as our knowledge building, our kids' knowledge. We'll have to integrate technology like anything. In India, we have to be more, which is good quality, very good quality for us. That is, we have a healthy social, it's tension to hai between ethnic class, but broadly, India is a place where people have good mind, they think good about in general. बहुत लोग बोल चुके हैं ऐसे ऐसे दुनिया में जगह है ही नहीं कि जहां पे इतने सारे लोग एक जनरल अच्छा थिंग सोचते हैं. सो टेंशन कम है, सोशल वी रिस्पेक्ट आवर पेरेंट्स. So we have certain social norms in India we go by, which is very very helpful for this coming cycle. So अगर एक चीज आप खुद जो कर सकते हो, यू कैन बी काइंड टू अदर्स, आप दूसरे की तरफ काइंड. दिस इज गोइंग टू बी, लग सकता है कि थ्योरी बोल रहा हूं, बट दिस इज गोइंग टू बी इंपॉर्टेंट एंड सोशली दिख रहा है कि दिस हैज बीन वन ऑफ द मेजर फैक्टर्स कि जो ये बड़े साइकिल को ट्रिगर करते हैं, विच इज हैपनिंग इन यूरोप. द इंटरनल टेंशन बिटवीन डिफरेंट क्लास इज टू मच ओवर बियरिंग हो रहा है यूरोप में. So that is one. India as a country, it will be best. We are not badly placed. Our markets can decline. That's okay. That's part of recession. So I'm not very bearish on Indian stocks for these bigger cycles. I think what we should do is keep our neutrality clear, very, very clear. We should stand out in these upcoming cycles that India is a friend to Saudi Arabia, is a friend to China, is a friend to US, is a friend to North Korea. India is a friend to everyone. So we only, of course, we'll have to look at the countries, what the people want. So peace को desire करना will be the utmost importance in India. First, secondly, I think what we should do is individually हम लोग को level of education improve करना चाहिए. खुद का घर का करते हैं, then we'll ask the government. Government should invest the biggest portion towards education to reconstruct our completely restructure our education system from zero, from class level. We'll have to introduce technology from class zero, class one, whatever is there, because the old system of this is, I can see them collapsing. So before it goes into complete crash collapse, we should prepare on these funds, and we should more invest on the infrastructure. As an investor also, you should look not for infrastructure stock, your own infrastructure. You should look for to reduce your debt burden. You should look for your asset classes in the right place. You want to have your job in the right place. You want to make sure the kids' school, your life is not majorly disrupted. Whatever you think you'll be needing, not luxury, needing in the upcoming, say, 3-4 years, you want to keep fully prepared for these cycles to be coming and converging. And they usually, ये जो cycle का transition period है of instability, हम लोग हिस्ट्री में, that is one good thing कि अच्छा पीरियड ज्यादा टाइम रहा. अगर 20 साल खराब जा रहा है तो देख रहा है कि 100 साल नेक्स्ट अच्छा जा रहा है. सो यूजुअली अच्छा टाइम ज्यादा जाता है, बट ये जो कॉन्फ्लुएंस का टाइम, ये कॉन्फ्लुएंस का टाइम इज अबाउट 15-20 ईयर्स होता है. एंड एक से एक जो इमर्ज होता है. सो एंड यूजुअली ह्यूमंस अगर जो ज्यादा दिन जिया है, यूजुअली हैज gone through these long cycles at least once in their lifetime. So जो पहले नहीं हुआ है in life, we should not consider it can't happen. So the threat is geopolitical, threat is of internal conflicts in outside the country. Of course, China, there is a class problem. There is a one rich and poor that has become in China. That is also a tension. In India, that is tension. We'll have to see how we can bring everyone, we can grow the middle class or the lower class, and overall we can become inclusive growth. Similarly, in your also try to become inclusive in every aspect. In second is this geopolitical threat ke saath, this long term interest rate, long term debt cycle that is coming. So I don't think that this is something we can take very, very lightly, especially these interest rates straight. Now, market se kab nikal jana hai, those who have done my class, you have the structure, you have the technical analysis. So that's not the, but these things hit us beyond market. So it's a holistic preparation that will matter the most. So आपको जो नीड चाहिए लग रहा है, जो नीड होगा, स्टेबल जॉब्स, a house, maybe if you need, say, children's education, so you ensure करना चाहिए super fastly. So children's marriage needs, as fast as possible, you should ensure those upcoming to you, and so that during this instability you remain very, very well prepared. So that's all, friends. Thank you. Please don't press the panic button. There's nothing to be panic. Always helps to remain prepared beforehand. So thank you so much for watching my video. All the best from my side. And as always, happy trading.